welcome to the Flex Rental Solutions webinar. Today we're going to be giving you an update on the Flex5 project, including showing you some of the new features that we've developed for our tablet application. And then we're also going to look a little bit at our upcoming user conference and some of the new changes that we've made to that conference, show you a few of the class offerings, and hopefully get you interested in that. So let's start by looking at a little bit of Flex5 tablet, some of the new features we've created, and then we'll talk about a few of the updates that we have concerning that. So right now I'm in one of our test systems. It's called Flex5 Demo. And at the same time, I am in Flex5 Demo here on my tablet. So right now I just have a tablet connected to my computer, and we're streaming that onto the screen so you can see what I'm doing. So I always like to give just a little bit of an update, or I'm sorry, at least a little bit of an overview of Flex5 whenever I start talking about it, because I know that a lot of you probably have not been keeping up with or even really know what we're doing with Flex5. So Flex5 is essentially the code name for our HTML5 rewrite of Flex. And we're going to be doing that in several different phases. Number one, we've started with a tablet application. So this tablet application is done all in HTML5. It can work on iOS or Android devices. Next up, we're working on a phone application. In fact, we just recently hired somebody who will be primarily working on the phone application. All of the back-end stuff is already done through the tablet app. So we're able to just create the UI for the phone, and we should see the phone application out in just a matter of a few months. And then we're also working on, of course, the entire rewrite of the desktop application in HTML5 as well. Right now we're currently in the planning and prototyping phases of that, and we'll start working on that upcoming this summer, and you'll start seeing some of the progress on that over the next year or so. Obviously, it's a big project. There's a lot to change. There's a lot to rewrite with all these different settings and pages that you can go to. So it will be a pretty widespread effort, take a bit of time, but like I said, you will start seeing a lot of the progress and a lot of things coming through within, I'd say you might start seeing some of the desktop stuff coming around the end of the year. We don't really have a roadmap set dates for that just yet, because like I said, we are still kind of researching some of the best tools to use and also some of the best practices for prototyping and things like that. But we just like to share that so that you know that we are actually working on it. Just because you're not seeing the progress when you log into Flex doesn't mean that in the background we're working on a lot of that stuff. So we'll, of course, keep you more updated as we continue with that process. But for now, that's kind of our update on the roadmap and where we're going with the entire Flex5 project. You can always go to flexrentalsolutions.com and look at our blog. I think it's actually just /blog, or just from the main site. You can see the link up in the corner to the blog. We try to put out as many blogs as we can about some new updates in the UI whenever we're entering early access or even the beta testing, which we did just over the past week. We've opened up the app for beta testing to a group of customers, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But you can follow all the progress of Flex5 just on our blog, so I'd recommend checking that out. So let's look at a few things that we've been working on with the tablet app. So I'm going to go back to our demo site. One of the most important things to realize about Flex5, the tablet application, is that it is a tablet app that is working with your same exact database that you work with every day. So it's not an entirely new program that you have to set up new inventory and quotes and all of that. All of the information that's in your database will be communicating with our tablet app. So for example, I could go create a new quote or pull sheet. Let's just start with a pull sheet. Mostly because I want to show you our prep and return process that we've been working on. I'll just give it some random dates. And maybe just put a few items on there so that we can see what it looks like in the actual app. So let's maybe find an audio package like this Shure wireless mic package would be a good one. I've created this virtual item. It's called a speaker package builder, where I can just quickly choose a bunch of inventory. Just to get things quickly onto a quote or to a pull sheet. Let's make sure we have a couple things in different subtotals too, because I want to show you what subtotals look like in the application. So we've had to do a few things a little bit differently just by nature of having a tablet application. It's going to be just a little bit different than some of the things you might be used to on the desktop as far as layout and things like that, but the concepts are still the same. So here's our pull sheet, and of course I could have done this just by first building a quote and then creating a pull sheet out of that, but I just started with the pull sheet to make things a little bit faster. Let's go back to our tablet app, and I'll grab my tablet and start using that. If you didn't watch any of our previous update videos or webinars, here's just a quick overview of what the tablet app looks like. This is our home page, which we call the dashboard. And you can put on customizable widgets onto your dashboard. So you can see that I have element list, quick launcher, contact schedule, and I could put multiple of these element list widgets onto my dashboard. But if I tap the settings for this element list, I can choose which elements I'm showing, which statuses, and also a list day and a past day window. So right now I'm showing 40 days in the past. It's probably a little bit too far in the past. Let's just say maybe 2 or 3 days. And then of course I could also choose what information I show, like status, venue, client, account manager. I could choose up to 3 additional of these list options to show on the list. Here's that webinar April pull sheet. If I just tap that, shows me the job information, and this is where I could go to the prep screen. And so the prep screen, again, using the same concepts as how you view a pull sheet, but we did have to rearrange things and just kind of rethink how we display some things. So in the left-hand list over here, we'll show all of the subtotals. If you tap on a subtotal, that opens that up to show the items, the line items in that subtotal. And if you tap one of the line items, it will show you information about that inventory model and give you options, actions like to virtually scan, open, or edit the inventory. And then I can navigate back by hitting the arrow next to lighting. That brings me back to my home, the top of the list. If I look at my video, notice I have a screen package here. If I tap anywhere in the screen package line, it will open the information about that screen package. But then you'll also see this little 0 out of 21 with this little arrow symbol. That just means that there are child line items. So if I tap there, then the list will shift over to show what child line items are in there. Since that screen package is a virtual package, it's built out of child line items. So that's why I saw that little quantity with the arrow over key. I could always tap this PS icon right here too, and that will take me back to the top level. And so prepping, you can do several different things. Number one, I could just type in barcodes in my barcode input field up here. So for example, I do know a couple of barcodes off the top of my head. If I just type one in, we're not going to hear any sounds right now, just because my iPad is hooked up through my computer and it's not coming through, but it is using the sound theme, whatever sound theme you have selected. So if I tap the cogwheel down here, you could see it's using the standard theme. If I tap on that, I could change the theme. Then notice how this speaker now has a 1 out of 3 because I prepped that. I could tap the cogwheel to view the scan history or the manifest. If I go to the scan history, that's going to show everything I've scanned in this session. And if I tap that, I could undo the scan. Of course, the manifest is probably just going to look pretty similar because I've only scanned that one thing. And again, if I want to go back to the pull sheet, I'll either tap the cogwheel and go pull sheet, or I could just tap that PS icon up in the corner, and that brings me right back to the pull sheet as well. So I'm not going to prep this entire job, but I did just want to show you some of the options that you do have. I don't have barcodes sitting in front of me. Actually, I do. Just one sec. Let me grab my book. So if you do have actual barcodes, and you should, because you usually put barcodes on your inventory, but when you have an actual barcode, you can tap the camera icon up in the top right corner and actually use a camera to scan. I don't have that item on this list, so it gives me the orphan scan prompt. I'll just scan it anyway. Let me see if I have something that actually is on the list. I don't know if I do on this barcode. Actually, I do have the that Martin. Again, I don't necessarily have to be on the subtotal or looking at the line item to scan it. I could just be on the parent top page here and still go and find something to scan. And when I scan it, you'll see the lighting subtotal did tick up by 1 because I scanned that item. We're still working on a few refresh things, so right now you didn't see it refresh immediately, but those are just some of the things that we're polishing right now. So if you ever do need to refresh, just pull down, pretty standard. And then of course you can also attach a Bluetooth scanner. So if you have a barcode scanner that is Bluetooth enabled, you can Bluetooth connect that to your device, and then see the icon up in the corner here, the Bluetooth icon. That just means that if I tap that, it's always going to keep the cursor into the barcode field, so that I could start scanning, and then I could tap and go to different pages, and it's always going to return that cursor to the barcode field. Now my keyboard keeps popping up. That's because I don't technically have a Bluetooth scanner connected. And so it keeps popping this up because when you connect a Bluetooth scanner, your device technically thinks that it is a keyboard, so it stops popping this keyboard up. So whenever you enter this mode here and it keeps putting the cursor into the barcode field, because that cursor is in that field, then that's why, let me get those notifications off, then that's why it keeps popping up the keyboard, because it's expecting me to enter text. But if you have a Bluetooth barcode scanner connected, it will not pop up this every time. So let's exit Bluetooth mode. And of course the last way I can scan items is just to tap the item and do a virtual scan. And here's all the barcodes I could choose from. Of course, we don't normally recommend virtually scanning that way, just because if you have barcodes on your items, you might as well just scan them with a scanner or the camera. But this is just kind of a shortcut way that you can scan things. And as you scan things, they get checked off. You see the big check mark, and the progress, of course, will keep track of your scanning progress so far. And if you tap the location down at the bottom, you could change locations from which you're scanning if you have multiple locations. So again, I'm not going to go through the entire prep of this job. Let's just maybe prep a couple more items. Looks like I don't have any available to scan for that. Because remember, the virtual scan is really just searching for available units that you have at that moment. But let's actually go to the manifest now and just look at the return, because this is something that's a little bit newer that we've implemented recently. So it looks like, first of all, I can't see the manifest on my list because I probably don't have the correct status. So let's go to my statuses, and I want to look at enable prep in progress, because right now that manifest is in prep in progress because I didn't finalize my pull sheet prep yet. In fact, we should probably do that. Let's just go back to that pull sheet, tap the cogwheel, and finalize. So now if I go back and look at my list, that manifest is now in the prep status, as we can see right at the top of the list. Let's tap that, go to the return screen, and there's all the items that I scanned to that job. And just like before, I could use a camera. So tap the camera icon and I could scan items in that way. I could just tap on the list and do a virtual scan. I could type in a barcode. And of course I could go into Bluetooth scanning mode, connect a Bluetooth scanner, and start scanning with my scanning device. Just like in Flex on the desktop, if I scan something in and I need to log maintenance on it, then I have that option. The cool thing about Flex5 on the tablet is that I have some additional functionality where I can tap through each thing that I have scanned so far. So maybe I scanned something 10 minutes ago, but then realized I need to log maintenance on it. I could just tap that line item and log maintenance on it there. You didn't really have that ability in Flex on the desktop. You would have to open that item first, then log maintenance. So we just made things a little bit easier that way. And then of course when I'm done with my return, I can finalize it. And so of course this isn't everything in the tablet app. If you want to see more of that, we have some webinar videos that show all the features, plus if you have been chosen to be a beta tester, then I'll send along a video getting you started and a user manual that's not public just yet. But if you're interested in that, and if we choose you as a beta tester, then you'll be able to see some of that. And so that's probably a good time to briefly talk about the beta testers and how we're doing that. Right now we have a list of dozens, if not maybe 70 to 100 customers who are interested in beta testing, which is awesome. We've gotten really great feedback, and people are really excited about beta testing this app. Right now we're in phase 3, which means we probably have about 20-25 people who are actively beta testing the app. Every week we are trying to release the app to another 10 or so beta testers. So if you have requested to be a beta tester, don't worry, we haven't forgotten about you. We're just rolling that out 10 at a time on a weekly basis. So for some of you, it might be another month or 2 months until you hear back from us. We might start releasing it to more than just 10 people every week. But right now, that's kind of our process, is about 10 per week, just a really slow rollout so that we can get some feedback on the app and just make sure that we're going in the right direction. We've already gotten some good feedback. There are some things that we're already working on changing, a few bugs that we found that we're working on fixing. So so far, I'd say the beta testing process has gone really well. It's been really successful in terms of getting the feedback that we're looking for so that we can make those fixes and changes to make a better product for you. So again, if you have requested to be a beta tester, don't worry, we haven't forgotten about anybody. You're on our list. And if you don't happen to be chosen for beta testing during the beta period, then eventually within the next couple months, we will be releasing the app with no restrictions. It'll come out of beta and it'll just be available to everybody so that you'll be able to download it. So not everybody will be chosen to be a beta tester, but we should be able to facilitate most. So again, this is just our tablet app. We still have quite a bit more to do with the Flex5 project. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, if you weren't here, we have hired somebody who's primarily going to be working on the phone app. It's going to be pretty similar to the tablet, just scaled down to a phone. So we should start seeing some of that within the next couple months. And then our primary developers are currently, as we speak, in sort of the research and planning phases for the desktop HTML5 rewrite. And again, like I mentioned, it's a really big project, as you can imagine, with just all the different pages and different functionality that's in Flex. So It's not just going to be a quick rewrite that we'll be done with by the end of the year. You'll probably start seeing some of the initial progress of it within the next year or so, but it'll probably be the entire project about a year and a half or two before we're 100% complete. We just wanted to be very transparent and open about what that process, instead of just promising that Flex5 is coming, that it's coming, and then you don't see anything. We just really want to make sure that you know what that process is, how much work we're doing in the background, so that you know that progress on that is actually happening. We're working on it every day. And then once we start developing some of that HTML5 for the desktop, we'll do the same beta process again. And then eventually the entire application will no longer be Flash and it will all be HTML5. So that's kind of the process that we're looking at now. We're really excited about what we've seen so far, and the progress that we've experienced so far, and the feedback that we've been getting too has been really great. So we'll continue to open up to more beta testers, and then eventually the app will just be available to everybody. So with that, let's take a minute and look at what we have upcoming in Flex that isn't necessarily related to Flex5. Although at the user conference, which is what we're going to talk about for a second, we are going to have some classes for Flex5, and we'll look at some of that in just a second. So if we open up our link for our user conference registration, this is going to be right before InfoComm. I guess it's technically during InfoComm, but these are the dates right before the trade show floor opens. So that's a Monday and a Tuesday, and then InfoComm trade show, the floor is open Wednesday through Friday. So just like we've done in the past, we're going to have several different tracks like we've had in the past. So tracks that are a little bit more applicable to advanced users, some that's more applicable to beginners. And then, like I said, we're going to have a few classes on Flex5 as well. One thing that we're really excited about is this new custom reports bootcamp. So a lot of you probably have experience with this, where you've requested a custom report from Flex, and you know that it could potentially take 2, 4, 6+ hours, and we charge over $100 an hour to do that custom report authoring. So a custom report could potentially cost you $500, $600 or more. So what we're doing is offering this custom reports bootcamp so that you can learn how to make those custom reports yourself. So as it says here, this is specifically for people who have a little bit of training with some coding, because in order to do this, you need some XML coding experience, and just kind of like a IT mindset in the first place. I think anybody can learn how to do it, but it is pretty helpful if you have a little bit of a background in the first place. But we're going to have Randy, our guy from support, who's teaching this custom reports bootcamp. He's going to teach you everything from the top, from downloading the software that you need to how you can download reports out of Flex, manipulate reports out of Flex, and then also just kind of talk about creating some things from scratch. So that's the new thing that we're going to be doing, is a custom reports bootcamp. That's going to be the way that we've done this for, we'll come back to some of that stuff up top, but if you want to do the reporting bootcamp, that's going to be the entire second day. So you can either sign up just for the reports bootcamp on the second day, or you could sign up to do some of the classes on the first day, and then the reports bootcamp classes on the second day. And we'll look at the pricing for that in just a second. But other things that are important, this is going to be at the Enclave in Las Vegas. This is a non-strip, non-casino or hotel venue. It's actually a very nice venue. It's about a couple miles just off of the strip, away from the airport. Really easy to get to. Really nice venue that has catering and everything that you need. And they're also partnered with a Flex customer, which is great, who's going to be our AV sponsor. That's 3G out there in Las Vegas. So really excited to work with them. And also we're going to have 2 classes that are all about Flex5, so Introduction and Crash Course. The introduction is going to be a lot more about some of the stuff that we've talked about already. We're going to share some roadmap stuff that's going on with Flex5. We're going to talk about the apps that we have out at that time, which will be tablet and possibly at least maybe the beta phase of the phone app. We're going to talk about recommended hardware that you can use, configuring scanners. We're going to look at everything just kind of from a background and getting started and set up with Flex5. And then we have a course that's called the Flex5 Crash Course. We'll go through every feature in the tablet application, make sure that you're up to speed on how to use that, because it is really going to be a useful app that we think a lot of you will be able to take advantage of. So we'll have Lisa, myself, Chris, and Randy presenting. And down at the bottom here, the pricing. So if you just do the 2-day conference without the reports bootcamp, it's $450. That gives you access to any class on the 2 days, during the 2 days. If you do just the custom report bootcamp, you have access to just the Tuesday report classes, or you could do kind of a hybrid where you attend some of the classes on Monday and then all of the reports bootcamp on Tuesday. And so that's our pricing. We're currently in early bird pricing right now, and as you saw at the top, that will last for another 27 days, and then the pricing will go up. But we always like to think that that is a very affordable price for the kind of content that you'll be getting. We're not trying to make money off of this. We're just trying to break even, honestly. We just want to offer this service to you, our customers, and give you an opportunity to learn as much as you can. And so we're happy to do it. And as long as we just break even with that, that's why we keep it so cheap. We also have the opportunity to book some one-on-one consulting time as well. And you'll see all that once you hit claim your ticket. You'll be able to register for whatever classes you want. Let us know if you want any one-on-one time, etc., and pay for everything just right there. So I'll put the link for this in the chat room. It's kind of a long link, but it's good. Trust me. And you can also find this on our blog, our newsletter that's going to go out. You can find that information there. So we hope that we can get a lot of you to this user conference. We've had nothing but great feedback from past attendees. We've been doing this conference for about 3 years now. Always get really good feedback. People get a lot from this conference, and it's also just such a good opportunity for you to network with other Flex users who are there. Like I said, get some one-on-one time with us, meet us, and kind of helps us to get to know you a little bit better too and see what we can do to help you. So please come to our user conference. If you're just going to be at InfoComm anyway, stop by our booth, learn more about Flex5. We'll tell you how you can download it and start using it. We're really excited about what's coming out, and we hope that you are too. So if you have any questions about any of this, you can email support@flexrentalsolutions.com. And also, like I said, if you are on the beta tester list, we will eventually reach out to you if you are chosen to be a beta tester for Flex5.